We're just weeks away from week 1 of the NFL season. Are you excited? We're excited. Wayne and I are back, and it's time for a status check after the first 2 preseason games from the Pack. We'll share our thoughts, weigh in on the drama, and as always, hear from the greatest green and gold community out there. All on this episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
Thanks again for joining us for another season of your Packers Fan Podcast. You know, it's the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. I'm Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com, and here in the Packers Fan Podcast multiverse, preseason is better than no season at all.
It's great to be back. I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider, and I may have visited Soldier Field this summer, but doesn't mean I didn't get in a few Go Pack Goes while touring the enemy's home. On this 228th edition of the Packers Fan Podcast, we'll talk about the preseason games, the first 2 anyway, and we'll more than likely give our 2 cents on the drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers, or maybe not.
And keeping with our 11-year tradition, we'll share your voicemails, emails, and feedback from the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group, and a few fun new things tied to the podcast. But shall we?
Let's do it, Wayne. How have you been, man? It's been so long since we've been behind the mic together.
I know, it's been crazy, after 2020, now 2021 is, pretty much the same, only different. And it's been a long off season, Scott. It's good to be talking about the Packers again. And of course, this is kind of the preseason episode of the podcast while we get into the groove, because in a couple of weeks, it's going to be real and we're going to hit the ground running.
Let's hope so for sure. I feel like as podcasters, we were already ready for the pandemic in terms of we already knew how to do a Zoom meeting. We've been doing it for you over a decade. Me for the better part of a decade. So we were prepared for this long before COVID hit, right?
Right. Got this thing down to a science. And with me being a lifelong germaphobe, I've been pretty much prepping for this.
I hear you. Well, let's talk about the first 2 games. I did not get a chance to watch them live. I know you did, but I did go back and watch some highlights and just to kind of get a recap of everything that went down. Some things that caught our eye from these 2 games. Game number 1 was against the Texans. Game number 2 was against the Jets. That one was at Lambeau Field. First off, Jordan Love. We got to see him in action. What did you think of this guy's performance? Our number 1 draft pick. What did you think?
I thought Jordan did a solid job, especially considering that our offensive line is still mostly the backups and shuffling guys around because no Bakhtiari yet, and things are just getting into a groove. And so it was mostly our second stringers, some of our third stringers, and of course the Texans, as well as the Jets in the other game we're going to talk about, both played like number 1s and 2s for the most part, because we're pretty much returning with the same team that was in the NFC Championship game. So,
right.
All things
and then
considered,
some. We got Cobb back too.
Unbelievable. So all things considered, I thought Jordan Love did a solid job, and he's going to be just fine.
Also, Devin Funchess, we saw him play. I know that last year he opted out over some COVID concerns. So it was good to see him on the field, and boy, is he sure making a run for making a spot on their roster. How about that guy?
I would think we've got to find a way to get him in with the regular squad. Some of the plays he made were pretty darn impressive for preseason.
Absolutely. I love how when the draft was happening, everybody was complaining about how we didn't have the core receiving players. We've got too many now, and they're all solid. I mean, I don't know if I'd put Funchess above Lazard, but I think it's something to be talked about.
Oh, absolutely, especially rotating guys in and out. I have no worries at all. Mm-hmm. Keep everybody healthy, and we're going to be just fine. And, of course, people were like, I can't believe we lost to the Texans. I can't believe we lost to the Jets. It's not a loss. It's preseason. It doesn't matter. In fact, how about an early spoiler, something that I've never really done on the Packers Fan Podcast? This coming week for preseason game number 3, I predict we're going to lose.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's perfectly fine. It's preseason. And
I look at preseason games as not real games. They are auditions. for the starting squad is exactly what those things are. They're not playing to win. Those players are playing to get a spot.
Exactly. In the second game, because Jordan Love was still getting over kind of a bummed shoulder, a little banged up, but nothing serious because he was back at practice earlier today. But in game number 2, channeling Don Mikowski at number 7, quarterback Kurt Benkert. He looked pretty good as well. I mean, 151 yards. He had a touchdown, 1 interception, 83.9 passer rating, and receiver Malik Taylor, 4 catches for 66 yards. There was a TD pass to tight end Jace Sternberger as well. So things were looking pretty good. And the running game. Game 1, running game was still pretty choppy, but in game 2, 123 yards on the ground. Running back Patrick Taylor, he had 8 carries by himself for 48 yards. Kylan Hill adds 7 more carries, 29 more yards, and a touchdown on a 12-yard run. All of the running backs are looking good right now, and A.J. Dillon had some awesome action as well. I'm like, he's carrying guys down the field. And all of that is without Aaron Jones, our main guy. So we have a running game, Scott.
And we have a stacked running game. Like you said, these are the number 2s and 3s on our squad. You know, it's just insane that we've got these full positions on both running and passing. And I know we lost these games, but like you said, it's about how they're playing, not how they're scoring. I mean, if this is our B and C squad, our A squad is set to dominate. We've really got some good possibilities. Look at me being optimistic for you, man.
Oh, I love it. Those green and gold rose-colored glasses. Not positive on the exact number, but I think I read that for the second preseason game, we had 32 players that were not dressed out.
That's nuts. I do think it is important for us to mention that our special teams continues to be an issue. Again, these are, second and third string players, but muffed punts and allowing 73-yard returns. That has to be our big focus going into week 1 is looking at special teams, because we can't let that stuff happen.
I totally agree, and it sounds like you've already taken off those green and gold rose-colored glasses. Yeah, I mean, it's preseason, so I'm hoping that when the regular games get here that the special teams will not look quite like that. But if they do, we have some problems. And so, of course, the third preseason game coming up this weekend is going to be probably the equivalent of what the fourth preseason game used to be back when we played that many. So I'm expecting it just to be players that are trying to make the team and, running through the motions. It might be less of a real game than the Packers scrimmage on family night.
I was actually talking with my father-in-law this weekend, who's a Packer fan as well as a big fantasy football fan, and he was saying that he hopes that we actually do get some of the starters playing for this game because they need some game time action before going into week 1 to avoid injuries. If you remember last season, we had some injuries during game 1 because none of the starters were playing. They're obviously doing practice stuff, but practice is significantly different from our real live game. So hope we get at least a few snaps from some of the key players.
Yeah, so we will not be here to record a podcast talking about that third preseason game, but we will be back in 2 weeks to prepare for Packers at Saints. And, of course, we'll need listener feedback at 920-3PACK-GO with your thoughts on what you think is going to happen down in New Orleans, and we will cover that in 2 weeks. So be ready. Be ready. I wanted to let you know that we do have our affiliate through fanatics.com. And if you want to buy some officially licensed Packers-related merchandise or some of these new rookies that are coming into play, our affiliate link at fanatics.com will be in the show notes as well as in the notes of your podcast player. And if you do buy through our link, we do get a small finder's fee that'll help out the show. But you got to get decked out for this upcoming season. They've got Love jerseys, AR-12 jerseys. He's back, you heard, right? And our affiliate link, again, you'll find it in the show notes in most podcast players. And speaking of which, have you seen the new kind of divisive throwback jerseys the Packers going to be wearing this upcoming season?
I have seen them, and I got to tell you, I like them. I like them a lot better than those blue and yellow ones that I know they're the classic, and it's actually what they wear, but I like these a lot better.
Well, that's good because Fanatics has those as well.
What do you think of them? Do you like them?
I don't like any alternate jerseys.
Don't get me wrong. I'd much rather just keep the regular away and home jerseys all the time. But if they're going to do the throwback thing, give me these instead of the blue and yellow.
Okay, I'll meet you halfway, and we'll go with that.
Well, we've got some listener feedback, Wayne, as we do almost every week. Who called in and left us voicemails this time?
Believe it or not, we have some preseason training camp voice message from Megan and Pete.
Go, Pack, go! If there's ever a reason to create a podcast, it's this one. It's this week. Randall Cobb is back!
There's some good nuggets of insight here from the boots on the ground, on location, Lambeau Field. I kid you not, 30 to 45 minutes ago, Aaron Rodgers trucked out of the stadium in his nice new black SUV. He was stopped by fans. He greeted them. I think Megan may or may not have stopped his car personally to say exchange hellos. And before
he
you know it,
didn't say hello. He just smiled.
he looked very, very happy to be back, which was...
He was very relaxed and happy, and you could tell he was having a great time. The whole night.
Yeah.
When we walked around the field, he was just, like, chilling.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little bun in his hair, and I know, like, people have different opinions on his actions in the off-season, but
Mm-hmm.
he's back.
He's dialed in. He's committed. I take the man for his word. We're, what, a couple weeks out from greatness beginning, and to Megan's point earlier, Randall Cobb!
Randall Cobb! Randall Cobb!
The Saints don't even know what's about to hit them. It's going to be a big old storm led by Aaron Charles Rodgers.
And Randall Charles Cobb. Welcome home!
Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you, Megan and Pete, for that voicemail. As always, it's great to hear from you guys. I missed you. I missed you guys so much. Yes, Randall Cobb being back. I've been on such a kind of media blackout since the Aaron Rodgers drama, so when I saw this news drop, I almost didn't believe it. But then somebody from my I have a texting group with a group of people that we chat about Packers all the time, and they sent a picture of it, and I was like, okay, this is for real. I can't believe it. I'm shocked that he's back. It feels like the good old days, man. Like we're the dream team, the mod squad, whatever you want to call it, is back. That's awesome. Also, really cool that Megan got a chance to get smiled at by Aaron Rodgers. I
love it.
I want to know what it feels like to bask in the smile of Aaron Rodgers, but they don't know what's about to hit them. What a great quote that they got. Also, I like the way that Pete says a little nugget of information. It just made me laugh for some reason. A little nugget of information. It was awesome. Good to hear from you guys.
Amazing to hear from Megan and Pete again. And about a year ago, or even at the end of last season, if we would have said, I bet next season the Packers are going to try to get Randall Cobb back. No, that's just not what the Packers normally do. But you said there was some sort of drama in the offseason with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I mean, there's just been the whole thing started. We talked about it. Okay, you're being sarcastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I've just been so frustrated with all of that. Maybe the whole thing was just a ploy to get Cobb.
It was a long con, huh? Hey, it worked.
No, I think there's stuff going on, and I think that he was being very careful about how he approached it. He wanted things addressed, but he didn't talk to the press until way later. And even the way that he said things in that infamous press conference, he was very direct, but still professional and respectful. So I kind of applaud him for that. I know that a lot of people he's on their list at this point, but, at least he didn't go play for the Jets or go play for the Vikings. I mean, who knows what's going to happen before his career's over, but people forget what happened with Favre.
And I'm just thinking to myself, at least he didn't go to the 49ers.
Oh, man, there was rumors about that because he wanted to go. Yeah, I remember that.
That would have, Thank goodness that did not happen. So we did have a poll in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. Packers fans, since we're now through the majority of the preseason, what do you like so far from what you've seen? The running game, the passing game, or the defense? Would you be surprised, Sir Scott, that 85% of the votes, when combined Facebook group and Twitter, 85% said the running game is what everybody likes the most? When was the last time Green Bay Packers fans have mostly liked our running game?
That's a fair point. I'm not surprised because that was impressive. It was impressive to see that, mostly because we haven't had a consistently solid running game for so long. You know, we'll get a stretch where we've got a decent one, but we're poised to be a very formidable force on that side of the ball, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I think.
Where do you stand?
Oh, I'm excited to see it because whatever it takes to win, and I agree with what you said. I don't think we've had a great sustainable running game since, dare I say, the Lombardi era.
Oh, all right. Wow. Yeah.
The passing game did get 11% of the votes, and, well, because they were a little choppy, and, of course, we're holding back the good stuff till the regular season, the defense only got 4% of the votes.
You know, I'm gonna make a controversial statement here, though, because you gave us three options on this poll, and I know defense only got 4% of the pick here, but something that stood out to me, not necessarily the defense in general, but the run defense, I thought was actually pretty solid. There were some stops that they made, especially in that Jets game, that like consistent stops. There weren't a ton of breakout runs from the Jets, so I got to give kudos to the defense on the run side of the ball. Although we had some issues with the passing game there, I saw some positive growth there, and again on our B squad. Well, that's what we thought about the poll. We had some comments from our community as well. First off, Peter in our Facebook group said, "Don't like any one unit, hard to as we can't fully assess the whole lot being so patchwork. I think that our toughest choices seem to be with wide receiver, though a lot may have been answered if I'm correct in saying Funchess didn't play a snap, meaning his place should be down." I assume this was after game 1, not game 2. Is that correct? Hill stands as the top back. Williams played well but fumbled, looked better in return game. We have potential players throughout that will only help our depth chart for a long slog. That's what I like most. And that's what I like best about Peter's comment is the depth. We've got lots of depth. I feel like so many times when somebody gets injured, we wind up with a receiver or a running back that the names aren't super familiar. We don't get to see them a ton. I feel like our depth are all well-known players and people that we've been watching for a couple seasons now. I'm really excited about the depth.
Yeah, wasn't it a couple of years ago where we were really working our way due to injuries and things that there were players on the field that Aaron Rodgers was like, just trying to learn all the names. He was as out of it with some of the names as we were till he got into the groove. On Twitter, Ryan says, looks like a deep running back room with Jones, Dillon, and Hill. We got a gem in the 7th round with Hill. Highway robbery.
I agree. He's really, really impressive. And even with Jordan Love, it looks like they've been playing together for a lot longer than just this preseason.
Yeah, I am so excited to see what's going to happen in this regular season. It feels like it could be another magical one, Scott.
I agree. We had some other fabulous feedback on the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community. And if you'd like to be a part of that community, be sure to head over to PackersCommunity.com. First off, Dictus in the Netherlands posted about the new 50s era throwback jerseys that the Pack will wear in the game this year. We talked about that a little bit already. And also, you heard me say at the top of the show, but I did go tour Soldier Field this summer.
Now, I need to hear a little bit about this because obviously it is the stadium that's closest to where you live. I would hope that that's what played into the decision.
Well, that's obviously a big part of it, but it's even bigger reason than that. My wife and I actually have a goal to tour every NFL stadium before we die. And Soldier Field was actually our 3rd stadium that we've been to. So we've been to Lambeau, obviously. We've done the full tour. We did a tour of US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. that stadium is impressive, man. Let me tell you, if you get an opportunity,
Oh, yeah?
go check out that stadium. It's really cool. And we just realized we hadn't been to Soldier. I've been to games at Soldier, obviously, but we actually did the full-blown tour. Got to walk out on the field, and as you saw on our Facebook group and on Twitter, I made sure to get in a good Go Pack Go in front of a Chicago logo.
As you
a little
do.
discreet, but that was a lot of fun. So we've got 3 down, and all 3 of them happen to be in the NFC North. So if I can get us to Detroit to tour that stadium, then we'll have the NFC North covered. But we got a plan to go to Denver as well. We got friends that live out in Denver. So, but yeah, we're gonna plan our vacations around where NFL stadiums are, so that we can go do a tour when we go to visit those places. And what we do is we go to the pro shop at each one, and we buy a shot glass that has that team's logo on it. So we'll have a collection of shot glasses from each of the stadiums that we got to visit and tour. So that was why.
Okay. I knew there was going to be a good story, and I wanted to hear it here on the show.
And it was genuinely interesting, man. There's a lot of really cool history behind Soldier Field, and it was fun to go. So,
Cool deal.
Yeah.
Also in the group, on a recent trip, superfan Aaron Peterson shared a photo with the caption, "Even in Juneau, Alaska, they know the best team in the league." And I asked Aaron Peterson if, while he's up in Alaska, if he was digging for gold or something like that. And he said, he certainly was. He said, "I sure am. In fact, I found green and gold."
Yeah, go figure. And I think somebody commented and said, yeah, only place that you can find a Packer bar outside of Green Bay is in Juneau, Alaska. And I will tell you, I beg to differ, because I was in one in Mesa, Arizona. That was a Packer bar, and I was in one in, not a bar, but I was in a Packer store in the Mall of America, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So Packers fans all over the country, man.
Oh, absolutely. There's even, I'm hoping to find it and get to go to it, though it'll be the off season if and when I do. But there is a Packers bar in Tokyo, Japan.
Nice.
So they
Very
get together, watch the games, and go crazy, and I love it. We also got an email or two. "Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is CCR in Green Bay, Wisconsin. What a crazy first preseason game it was for the Packers. Although we lost, there were some good sides to it, like Devin Funchess and our defense on a few run stops. I think we need to really work on our secondary. Our defense gave up so many plays and yards, and I'm hoping we can fix that before week 1. But all in all, go Pack Go. Bleed green and gold till dead and cold." That's Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a.k.a. Titletown.
Good to hear from you guys. Also, I got an email here that I am supposed to read in an announcery voice, so I apologize in advance for your ears. But here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the starting lineup for your Packers Fan Podcast for hosts. Entering his 11th season on the podcast, he can't believe he can no longer pick the Packers to go 20-0 in the season anymore, and he is your 2-time Wager-O-Fun winner on the podcast, Mr. Wayne Henderson. And entering his 3rd season on the podcast, Mr. Frankie Valli, who is your 2-time loser of the Wager-O-Fun, who also has a secret love for Taco Bell, a.k.a. Spicy Scott Clark. Any fill-in host will be coming off the bench if needed.
Okay. I did not write that.
Also, the email goes on to say, "Can you believe the Packers regular season is almost here? 2 preseason games are in the books, and there is 1 more game to go. Did the Packers forget how to play football? Has all the drama with Aaron Rodgers been too much of a distraction? Yes, I know it's only preseason and the games don't count, but 1 more game left, and then they count for real. But what the hell, it is preseason, and even though I didn't watch their entire game, I did see some of the Chicago Bears get their butts kicked by Mitch Trubisky and the Buffalo Bills. It was great to see that just in time for training camp that Aaron Rodgers came back to the Packers, and it was about time that we had all that drama settled. Okay, Stephen Verheeren is just about ready to check out for now, but I can't wait to hear the podcast and to see if, unlike the Packers, to see if Wayne and Scott can shake off their rust of not hosting an episode of the Packers Fan Podcast episode for a while. Thanks so much, Stephen. Always good to hear from you. And thank you to everybody for all of your calls, emails, comments, and support each week that we do the podcast. Remember, once again, to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversations, head over to packerscommunity.com. Our regular season opener, Packers at Saints, on September 12th, will be here before you know it. Be ready.
And part of being ready is to keep the Packers Fan Podcast voicemail hotline ready at your fingertips. That number is 920-3PACK-GO. Again, 920-3PACK-GO. Put it in your phone's contacts. We'll be recording our next episode around September 5th or so to preview Packers at Saints Week 1, and we want to have your thoughts about what you expect to see in the game. And be sure to include your guess of what that final score of that game is going to be. Call us, let your voice be heard. Again, 920-3PACK-GO.
And hey, if you love video games as much as I do, I have another podcast called The Gaming Outsider, where we chat about my favorite hobby each week. You know, I like something else besides just football. This week, we asked our listeners which voice actor they would hire to either narrate or portray them in a video game based on their life. It's a really fun conversation, and Wayne is doing a little dance because he is a voice-over artist. So.
Raising my hand. Hey, hey, hey.
We also reviewed a much-talked-about game called 12 Minutes that Zach, my co-host, called a, quote, colossal, unyielding disappointment.
Whoa.
You're going to want to check that out to see why he was not a fan of that game. If you're interested, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. We'd like to remind you once again that we do have a Patreon available for you to contribute some funds to help us keep the show running. And we have a value for value model here at your Packers Fan Podcast. Everything that you pledge goes back into the show, helping with hosting costs, audio softwares, and the Packers Fan Podcast swag that you can periodically get at some of the higher support levels. If you'd be interested in helping us out, head over to patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. And also, I still have several Packers Fan Podcast masks available. If you'd like to pick up one of those, they are available at my website, thegamingoutsider.com. There's a little button there that has a shop, and you can go in there and buy those. Want to give some shout-outs to some very special listeners that have donated to our Patreon. First off, a special stadium-level Go Pack Goes going out to Dan Dyler for supporting the show at the Jim Ringo-inspired monthly pledge level. You rock, sir. And also, thank you for the Go Pack Go outro we'll share again at the end of the show. Listener Bryant, Go Pack Goes to you for all of your Willie Wood level Patreon support. And how about some Go Pack Goes for our Brett Favre level Patreon supporters? Colin Nolan from Ireland, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Lawrence Harvey, Jeff Summerfield, and good old Andre in LA.
Also, Go Pack Go for these epic Curly Lambeau level monthly supporters: Joe Christensen, Matt Haig, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts, and Beth Mintic. Thank you so very much. Check out all the levels, the possible rewards, and just ways you can help support the show. Just want to thank you for all of that. It's more important and appreciated than ever before, ever since, well, you know, that mask COVID thing. And as a reminder, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. And please follow the Packers Fan Podcast everywhere that you listen to podcasts. And hey, tell a friend.
Also, please follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Our personal Twitter handles as well. Mine is at GoCastScott, and Wayne's is at Wayne Henderson. And now, Packers Fan Podcast Patreon supporter at the Jim Ringo level, Dan Dyler's special message to head us into the rest of the preseason.
Hey, Packers Fan Podcast listeners. This is your cheesehead from Indianapolis, Dan, and I have just two words for you. Go, 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 Pack, go!